President Donald Trump appears to be struggling in the polls, especially in certain swing states that he won handily in 2016. One of those states happens to be Pennsylvania, where his polling is down quite a bit compared to Joe Biden. And part of it seems to be a result of losing white women. So now CNN decided to speak to some of these women who had voted for Donald Trump to hear what they had to say and whether or not they would be turning on Donald Trump. Let's take a look.
What do you feel today about your vote 4 years ago?
I can tell you how I felt 4 years ago. Shame.
Do you regret your vote?
Where we are today, yes, I do. I don't think this is the great again that everyone thought it was going to be.
So Holly is voting for Joe Biden, and so is Nin Bell.
What drew you to Donald Trump? Why did you vote for Donald Trump, Nin?
For his celebrity, 100%.
It was the brand?
It was.
The
It was.
image?
Absolutely. Successful, funny. Like, he was funny. I loved his show, The Celebrity Apprentice. Never missed it.
Was there a moment when you decided, I cannot support him anymore?
It was almost instantly.
Joan Smeltzer and Julie Brady are registered Democrats, and both voted for Trump in 2016.
I feel like I've been duped. I got it wrong, and it hurts my heart. I mean, it truly hurts my heart because the things that I saw I didn't take seriously enough.
Throughout the campaign, he was making sexist, misogynistic remarks. And then there was the Access Hollywood tape. How did you guys process and digest that, being out there and voting for him?
It was not easy. I look at myself and I think, how could I do that?
I feel like I did a disservice to women by voting for this guy.
Yep. Not only just a disservice to women, but disservice to a lot of people. A lot of people. So when they say you should be, I should be ashamed of my vote, or I'm ashamed of my vote, you absolutely should be. There's no reason why anyone should have voted for Donald Trump. I get that Hillary Clinton was an absolute effing disaster. She's literally the worst candidate that the Democrats could have put up at the worst time. That said, why would any person with a thought in their head even consider voting for Donald Trump? That's especially a woman. That's ridiculous. But as some of them mentioned, one of them was, of course, duped by the celebrity, right? I mean, that's one reason. Oh yeah, it's The Apprentice. You know what? I'll get to that later because I've got a few thoughts on that. But I want to talk about first why they switched. Okay, so there are two major events that happened during Trump's presidency that got people to switch, and that would have made this election, I think, a lock for Donald Trump had they not happened. For one, coronavirus. I think we can all agree coronavirus is the true winner of 2020 because that changed the entire election. If Donald Trump had not been a fucking moron and actually had been responsible and actually had a good response to coronavirus, including, back in March saying, hey, look, there's this coronavirus, whatever, it's coming from China, and we should put on our masks. We should all wear the masks so we don't get the China virus. Okay, you know what? The shit framing, I'll take it, though. Because he's telling people to wear masks. All right, good. We would have had this under control. 40,000 people, it's estimated, would have still died as a result of the virus because we don't have a vaccine, because it is an incredibly, dangerous virus, of course, but it spreads very, very fast. All right, look, 40,000 bad, 200,000 worse. But understand, we've never experienced SARS-CoV-2 before and COVID-19. And so understandably, it's a pandemic. There are going to be some problems dealing with this. And unfortunately, we're going to lose some people. But under Donald Trump, the number of people, the number of losses that we have had is just, again, the response to it was a disaster. because for months he played it down publicly while knowing the truth in private. If you would listen to the Bob Woodward tapes. And so that's one. Okay. The other thing is the George Floyd protests, the killing of George Floyd specifically. And so you had video that outraged people. One of the women in the video, she's like, yeah, that was one of the big things, the George Floyd protests. And she goes on to say, look, I'm a mother. When I heard that he was begging for his mother as he was laying, dying, she's like, that got to me. I saw that. And she actually now protests weekly for Black Lives Matter. That's a remarkable turnaround from going from voting for Donald Trump and then going to, I'm a Black Lives Matter protester. That's significant political evolution. And I give her credit for that. Big props on that. And so not only that, but you had the response from Trump on the George Floyd protests was to scream law and order and then to deploy federal troops in order to get a photo op with a Bible. Fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous. And so now let's get to the celebrity, right? So one woman, as you heard, yeah, it was a celebrity. Okay. She explained how it was because of The Apprentice, because he was entertaining, and appeared to be successful. Well, we know that that was never the case. He was deeply indebted. The producers, they knew this, and what they did is that they made up this elaborate lie, this character that Donald Trump could pretend to be. And look, if you had read some of the behind-the-scenes stuff about The Apprentice, Donald Trump would forget what his lines all the time, and it just, he was terrible at it. And yet still, he was able to cultivate a following, an audience from that. But understand that was never real. His success was never real. All of it was a result of brilliant marketing and people around him spreading this narrative that he is a successful person. What we know from Donald Trump's taxes shows the opposite. He is deeply in debt. His businesses don't make enough money. He's made terrible investments. He's, went bankrupt many times. He's lied about his taxes so that he doesn't have to pay them. In fact, he's not paid taxes for 10 years because he claims so much in losses, nearly $1 billion in losses, so that he didn't have to pay taxes for 10 years. But then when trying to get loans, he would then inflate his assets in order to get more favorable loan term conditions. And so everything about Donald Trump is a complete lie, down to his tan, his fake bake. And we know that. We know that. Now, do enough people know? I would hope so at this point, because he's been president for 4 years. I would hope that, again, you've got the 30% of Trump voters that will never budge. They'll never move. They'll see all this stuff and say, that fake news. Fake news. All right, whatever, right? You want to believe in a fantasy because you've wrapped up your entire ego into this person, your entire self-worth and well-being, whatever, into this one person, and you can't stand to see the truth about them. Well, that's a sad day for you, but whatever. We're not going to reach you. I don't care about you. But what I do care about is enough people who are on the fence, who are undecided, saying, oh, yeah, that's who Donald Trump is? Well, fuck that. I'm not going to vote for that guy. No, I'm going to go and, even if I fucking have to vote for Joe Biden, which sucks, that's what I'm going to do, because I got to get rid of this guy, because he's an absolute disaster and he's a lie. And I hope enough of these women in Pennsylvania, which is a very important state, decide to turn against him. And so far, what the polls say is encouraging. Recent polls show President Donald Trump down 7.2% in Pennsylvania. With women, he's 23 points down. He back in 2016, he did well with women, 50-50. 23 points down. He's also down double digits nationally. Again, I know our system is the Electoral College. You can win the popular vote and still lose the Electoral College. But Donald Trump's got a really, really difficult path to victory in this election. There's a lot of people that are saying, even Frank Luntz, the Republican pollster, says, I don't think he's got the numbers anymore. Like, I don't see what path to victory he has because he has bungled coronavirus and all these other issues so badly. And so he's also down double digits, in other places. He's even down just barely in Iowa. You've got Florida, where Joe Biden is winning. You've got Ohio, which is in play, which is competitive. A lot of these states are unheard of for Democrats. I mean, especially in a lot of these places where Donald Trump had some really big wins. Those states generally go to Republicans. Now Joe Biden's got a shot, and he's actually campaigning in those states. And what's worse for them, a poll last week by Quinnipiac revealed that Biden was ahead 60-37 among white women. White women mostly went to Trump last time, now massively going to Biden. That said, polls are not the end-all, be-all. I feel like we have to get this caveat, okay? You still have to show up and vote. And as some people point out in the chats here, Obama won Iowa in 2008 and 2012. Did not, obviously Clinton did not win Iowa, as far as I know, in 2016. But now, here we have a close race, very close in Iowa, with Joe Biden just barely getting an edge. And so, that said, you got to be careful of the polls. You got to show up. You got to vote. You got to be aware of voter suppression. And you really have to be, you got to track where your vote's going to, if your vote was counted too. If you're voting absentee, if you're voting by mail, you really have to be careful. But so far, it's a disaster for Trump. I mean, he's in a world of hurt. And it does make it more likely, and this is the other thing to watch out for, it makes it more likely that the Republicans are going to want to try to steal the election using the courts and using voter suppression. So also make sure to watch out for that. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.